All right, everybody, we're going to open the May 7th Design Review Board meeting. Just as one announcement tonight, there are just 4 of us, and so in order to move forward, you will have to have a unanimous approval. If anyone chooses to ask for a deferral, we are happy to do that. Just let us know. All right, so we're going to go ahead and go with approval of the March 5th minutes. And everyone had a chance to look at those, or anyone want to?
Yeah, I had just a couple comments on the minutes this month. One was under item 3, the MUV building sign. The comments I made just before the motion and I believe the intent of the motion was that we were not approving a change in the building color as an option with our approval. The way the motion ended up coming out is that if the building color has changed, the matter must all come back to the board for re-review and approval. So I guess I'm not demanding that we change the minutes, but if the staff could confirm that. I don't know if we had any confirmation of whether the building color changed before we reviewed the sign. Do y'all remember this? It was a.
I wasn't here, but I did watch the meeting, so.
I don't recall the project number, if you could
Okay,
recall
it's
that.
the project sign number SGN 26-5 zeros and a 1.
I think in the drawings, it had stated that the final color was to match the final color of the building.
Yes.
And then that was the question, because, okay, so what is the color of the building?
That's exactly right. We had some photographs, but it wasn't clear to us what the color of the building was, and we were trying to make sure that we didn't have a situation where the owner changed the color of the building and felt like we approved it.
He did. I went out there, so the color is mostly white with black trim, and of
Yes.
course the black isn't an approved color. If we could get Chapter 6 amended, it would be an approved color. And he's got some gray in the front too. So really all he needs to do is switch out the black. So far we have not been able to get him to do that. I haven't actually officially approved these signs. However, I haven't had a chance to get back out there, but I think they're up. They've installed them, even though they've gotten nothing officially from us saying they're approved. We're trying to get him to, he could either paint it gray or he could paint it white, but right now it's white with black trim.
Okay. So I was not aware that all this had transpired, but this was exactly my concern, is just that we might get into a situation that was confusing. So I guess we probably do need to tweak.
The
minutes to
pictures were
reflect what I think we
correct,
did.
right? The
Yeah.
pictures were right. They just weren't detailed enough really to pull that color out of them.
Yeah.
But,
Well, they were alluding to the fact that he might be intent on changing the color of the building.
well, he did.
And that's
That
what
color
we
was
were
different
against without approval.
than it was previously, right?
Yeah.
So from the time they applied to the time it came here, they did change the color of the building.
Without approval.
Yes.
So is there an open code compliance case against them right now?
Technically, no, but we're just trying to get them to come into compliance.
So I would
Yeah, I
agree
mean, the
that
friendly approach is great. I guess specific,
Could
what I'm
amend.
bringing up is the notes led us to believe that that might happen. That made me nervous. The board discussed it,
Yes.
and then we made our motion to approve it contingent. But the motion wasn't contingent. It was the motion. What we tried to do in the motion was in the discussion. We tried to clarify, based on the photographs we had and the sign application we had, we didn't have a problem. We thought that should be approved. We were all nervous that something was about to happen, which you've told me it has happened.
Yes, but the
That-
pictures were correct. The
Yeah.
pictures,
So what I want to make sure is the minutes reflect, we had this concern,
that discussion, yeah.
made a motion, and so they have not complied with with the terms that we laid out in our motion. So in my opinion, I'm not an attorney, but
No,
Wow.
I
we,
think,
we didn't, their sign is not approved.
No, it is
Yeah.
not.
Okay.
It says the sign must be returned to the board for consideration.
well, this, I think his point is that the sign didn't need to come back, but the
Color.
building would need to.
Yeah, and I
But
put that condition in the final order. I don't know if you've signed the final order or not, but
Likely,
I put that condition in there that
Okay.
it had to come back. And we've been trying to work with the owner, but we haven't
so
made
do we want to go
much
ahead and ask
progress.
Karen to take a look at that and revise it for next month? Okay.
Yeah, and if, I mean, she could go back to the recording and just, I think the motion was crafted pretty carefully to try to
right.
reflect that, so,
Did you
okay.
have any other?
I did have one other
Okay.
comment, and this one is of less substance, but I just was interested, I read through the description of our discussions about the Hotel Rain, and the way that my closing comment was captured, which was intended to say that this board unfortunately had no basis to do anything but approve the project, my comment was characterized more as being more supportive of the county attorney's position, which I was not. So I would ask that maybe we just strike that sentence rather than me try to craft it. I don't think we have an obligation to have verbatim minutes, so.
I agree.
Yeah, so this is the bottom of page 4 of 8. I would ask, or I would, do I need to make a motion to amend the minutes?
No, I
Okay,
think we can
yeah.
just have Karen
Yes,
take
if we
care of
could
that.
strike the last sentence
Yeah.
on page 4 of 8, I would appreciate it.
Okay. All right, so let's just not take any action. We'll have Karen revise those, and we'll move on to our announcements. Okay.
Thank you. Sorry to delay.
I think they're supposed to be approved as amended,
They haven't been amended yet.
but my understanding of other boards, how they do it, they don't bring them back. You've put in what you want changed, so you've amended them. Now you vote to approve them as amended.
Without seeing them?
Unfortunately, yes.
Well, striking the sentence, I feel pretty good about that one. The other one, as long as, I mean, hopefully the meeting minutes for this meeting will reflect that the 4 members sitting here
What we want, yeah.
did not intend to approve a sign if the building color changed
Right.
on that
Well,
first item.
Okay,
Oh, it does?
just, but the
Oh.
minutes just do not. Okay.
Yeah.
So if we want to.
And the minutes aren't verbatim. They're not supposed to be verbatim.
Yeah, these minutes from March had an awful lot of detail in them that was probably not necessary.
Well, that's probably from the AI. They're AI assisted these days because Karen typically doesn't put a heck of a lot of specificity in there.
Right,
Okay.
okay. So do you guys feel comfortable then approving amended minutes without seeing anything, or do we want to?
I'm good with that. I mean, we can always reopen it at a future meeting if it comes out badly.
Can we?
I think we could.
Or we can, I guess, if you feel like we need to take action, Tim, we can say that we're not approving them, then she can bring them back next month.
I mean, we can continue the minutes to the next month.
Okay.
In that case, I will move that we continue, I lost the date, the minutes before us to the, yes, I move that we continue the draft minutes to the June 4 DRB meeting.
Oh, second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Tim?
Yes, first of all, I'd like to introduce our new planning manager to the board, Alex Eddington.
Hello, Mr. Alex.
Hi.
Welcome.
Nice
And
to see you.
in an effort to let him participate in the staff report discussion, we're going to move that to the top so he can participate and he doesn't have to stay here for the whole meeting. But I'll go ahead with the other announcements. We typically do our continuances. So item number 2 and item number 3, Chick-fil-A, they're still working through some drainage issues. So we're requesting that both of those items be continued to the June 4th DRB meeting.
Someone want to make a motion on the continuance?
Motion to approve items number 2 and 3 to the June 4th DRB.
Motion to continue.
Not, yes,
Yes, okay.
request, yes. Motion to grant the continuance to June 4th, 2026 for items 2 and 3, Chick-fil-A deviation and Chick-fil-A drive-through modifications.
All right.
Second?
Motion a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. And Tim, do you want, or Ayanna, do you want me to kind of introduce that, or do you want to come and talk about it?
Whatever you feel comfortable with.
Okay. So Ayanna and I were talking about the staff reports. A couple of years ago, staff updated their staff report that they take to all of the other board hearings. And we are the outlier that has our own staff report. And it is not a living document that continues like the TRC, Planning Commission, and board. So basically, each item that comes before us, if it is a development order, has 2 staff reports that track with the project. And so we were trying to determine if this was effective for us, or if we would prefer for those items that are development orders and kind of continuing on, if we would just modify the existing staff report so that our information is included in that. There is a checkbox on it already that says, hey, this has been to design review and this is the results of that. Is that about how you would characterize what the ask is?
Yeah, I would definitely say that's how I would characterize it, but still keeping in mind a way to not add more work for staff, but also keeping in mind the scope of the purview of what you guys review, because it may not be necessary to bring, for example, a major or minor development order staff report that needs to be routed for DRB review. It may not be necessary to bring that entire staff report package to the DRB if some of that information falls outside of the scope of what you guys review under the DRB. So I was hoping that we could have a discussion where maybe we can pin down some ideas on whether the staff report in its current state is the most effective way for us to go forward with the information that you need to help you make a decision here at the board without creating additional burden or work for the staff, but still being comprehensive enough to cover what you guys would need.
The staff reports that go to the other boards? Okay.
Now, I'm not sure that we could make a decision on that without knowing the other side of the information that's going.
So we ask a lot of those questions anyway, but some of the information in the staff report are going to be the conditions of approval from fire and mosquito control. And some of them are going to be conditions of approval or ongoing comments that are resolving with the TRC board. So a lot of that we discuss, a lot of that we see or look up ourselves. So it's kind of, you know, if staff's updating the living document, do we really need all of that? Because they're also, you know, some of the information that we typically have in our reports are the checklists that you go through, kind of documenting all of those things too. So I don't know, that would make it a very long
Well, I mean,
staff
we already
report, yeah.
received the full application packet.
We-
I mean, you can see every single X on there, or not applicable, or C page, or C specification, or.
But the staff report that tracks with all of the TRC and other development order projects has all of that kind of background data.
Right, I understand.
Yeah. I
It would
mean, I know
be
you
way
do,
too
but-
much information for us to be, I mean, we would get 400-page documents to have to try to pick and choose what we're supposed to be concentrating on. And is that the reason why we
Well, it
currently
wouldn't
have a
be that
different
much.
report?
It would just,
For a major development order, it might. I mean,
No.
there's so many pages.
I mean, she's hit the nail on the head. It's just, you know, we've got all the other reviewers. So you've got planning,
Mhm.
fire, engineering, mosquito control, EOC, code enforcement, school board, Eglin Air Force Base. you know,
South Walton Fire, North Walton Fire, Argyle Fire.
And like you say,
EMS.
it'll have the date for the DRB, and I'll say, you know, action to be determined, or it'll say approve 4-0 or whatever. Because I came up with this format. Basically, it's just a request. It's not really a staff report per se. It's just, this is what they're asking for. The deviation one is a little more because it outlines the criteria, and then I have a little statement in there about whether it meets that criteria or not. But yeah, it would have a lot of information you guys don't normally see, but the only real difference is the inserts, right?
Madam Chairman, can I ask a practical question?
Absolutely.
Is this, I would appreciate having access to more information if it's needed. So I'm wondering, could we just get a link to the other staff reports in the email announcing the meeting? I mean, is it that simple?
So I think the question is.
Well, we have to upload it
Yeah,
to the county website, because all the documentation that goes with this meeting is on the website. You can click on it and pull whatever document it is.
Yeah, what I'm trying to,
It wouldn't be adding a separate link. There wouldn't be an available mechanism for that. It would have to be included as part of our agenda or not. But
well, that's what so what I want to try to clarify, maybe I can say this succinctly. So the information that we're talking about adding to for our use is already available for the other boards.
Yes.
So the information exists. The next question is, if we use that information to render a decision, are we in a quasi judicial setting where we can only render an opinion based on information that's in our packet formally? Is that why we have to add it?
No, we're just looking for a way to meet your expectations, but take a little of the burden off of staff.
Yeah, to not have two staff reports. I mean,
She's-
because
Oh,
Because
okay,
she's
that's,
great.
yeah, this is
Because
helpful,
she's
this is
great.
helpful. Now I'm understanding what the issue is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this would be in lieu of what we're doing now.
In lieu, that was what I was trying to figure out. If we're just trying to
And
add
some of it
information.
may be helpful in some, because it's going to have the zoning, the land use, the FAR, the ISR, the parking, whether there's wetland impacts, all that's in the staff report. And it'll have all the reviewers, and it'll say whether it's been met or not. Because I do tell people, as long as you've met all the scenic corridor requirements, I'll take you to the DRB, even though you may have some outstanding TRC comments. So you
Yeah.
might see some comments in that report that hasn't been resolved yet, but on this checklist, it'll check everything's been met.
But the
Yeah.
idea would be that right now, for projects that are those development order projects, they're creating two separate staff reports.
Totally understand. And I'll tell you, the only thing I look for when I read through the staff report that we get is for things that are not compliant. So if you gave me a list of the items that aren't compliant, I would be completely satisfied.
Well, that will,
I would be able to assume that everything else,
that will still be there on the checklist. And of course, we try not to bring it to you guys if anything is not in compliance, but with these deadlines that the state's putting on us,
yeah, you mentioned that.
we're
the last
we're not
meeting.
always
Yeah.
going to be able to do that.
Yeah,
But
totally understand, but I
I
mean,
try
that's,
not to even advertise it unless we've resolved all the issues that are out there.
yeah, so I mean, that's what I look for in the staff reports is I'm looking for anomalies, any reason that it would not be prudent for us to approve something.
Yeah, this is just going to give you some additional information.
A lot of additional
And-
information.
It'll have
It may
what,
or may not be
any
relevant.
previous approvals for it. Well, we have a section of, for previous approvals. Some projects have none, it's vacant and wooded. Some have, 3 or 4 DOs or 3 or 4 addendums. It's just more information than you have now. Because again, it's basically just the request. That's really all it is.
And I do want to add on to what Tim is saying, that this is an effort, like I understand, even if we don't come to, a final decision or solution tonight, maybe this is something that we kind of just chip away at in terms of specific applications, particularly major and minor development orders. And I do, and staff understands that it can be a little bit different when we're talking about scenic corridor deviation applications and sign applications and less than minor applications. It might get
Yeah,
a little
and
fuzzier.
I've been an advocate for a while of allowing the deviation to track as one kind of report, one item that we talk about. We talk about it as a whole, and I would love to be able to just have that as one item that, you know, if we have to take a separate motion on it, we take a separate motion
Versus
on it.
3 or 4.
And if they want to, you know, have all of that combined together and talk about it, we you know, that's what we do anyway. We talk about the entire project as a whole. So I've always been an advocate for that. If there was a way of resolving the amount of paperwork, because it's one project, right? Regardless of how many pieces you have to it.
Right.
We talk about it as one thing, and it's, from a design standpoint, usually a pretty holistic situation. So,
Well, we might have to keep that separate because typically, once it's approved, it goes into the previous approvals, right? They got a deviation for this. I don't,
our deviations track with the project, though.
right.
It's not
but-
necessarily the same.
But it outlines the 6 criteria. I'm not sure how we do that in our existing report.
Well, I still think
Because
I
it's-
mean, you can add and talk about those things that are in there because it's still part of the project. I just think from a paperwork standpoint and from a efficiency standpoint, that's always been something that I supported.
But yeah, I mean, we'll always look at them as a whole. We've
So, I
always
mean,
done that.
just from that. But I think that your goal is to not create 2 separate staff reports if it's not beneficial. And if I'm right, if that's kind of.
Yeah, if there's a pathway to doing that, then I believe staff would be supportive of that. If we could explore those options, and maybe I think it would feel a lot better having internal discussions and making sure that Karen is sitting in on this with us, because we depend on her pretty heavily to get things uploaded to the agenda. She's our bridge of communication between the boards and us, right? So I think that if we can explore some options for how we could reduce that on all fronts, and
I
that'll
think, I mean,
help Alex, help
for-
us too.
for us, you know, we want to hear what's out of compliance. We want to hear if you have conditions of approval or recommendations that you're making. And if that finds its way into the existing staff report, I'm happy with that. If
I
you,
think to streamline a bullet point would be nice for us, because whatever can streamline the information coming to us, streamlines this meeting and our time too, and y'all's time and their
yeah,
time.
and
right? So-
I'm all about not having to recreate that. I mean, a lot of the major development orders, I go back and look at the staff reports anyway.
Yeah,
So, I mean.
and they're big.
Yeah,
I mean, they
they
are.
are.
I've written DOs for clients for years with this
Yeah.
county. It's a lot of information, so I just,
It's more. It's more
I mean,
information.
and
a
just,
lot of it's what we.
just to be clear, the
'Cause-
links that we get now, they're already very big and sometimes hard to upload, even downloading them to my iPad or computer when I'm here. So the more information you add to that, it makes it harder for us to zoom in on the drawings. It goes away. It's constant struggle to keep these documents open.
Well,
So if
and
y'all are
this
gonna
all
make that
goes
bigger,
in-
make sure the link works for us.
At the end, right, we put what happened at the DRB meeting, we put any conditions you all have, that goes into the final staff report. And of course, if it's a major, you know, we have to amend it after the county commission meeting to put in what happened there, because they still have to, they're doing it on the consent, but they still have to adopt the final order. So even after that meeting, we have to finalize the staff report that will be attached to the development order.
Hello? Okay. So in an effort to keep us moving forward and thinking about ways to be more efficient, to me, it makes more sense to, you know, possibly continue this discussion. And in the meantime, until the next DRB meeting, if you all decide to bring this, you know, item to the discussion piece of the agenda again, that'll give us an opportunity to possibly do some internal discussion, come up with a couple of examples that might speak to something that would be more efficient and still be comprehensive
I mean,
for
I
your
personally
review.
would love for you guys to
Would
do
you be
that.
open to
Yeah,
that?
I think,
Yeah.
please
Okay.
do. Yeah,
Okay.
come back with something
I
that
don't
you-
know if Karen's allowed to do this, but could she possibly send to the DRB, as this item is in question, a a link to like just a project so that the rest of the board that maybe isn't familiar with looking at this stuff all the time can see the length of these reports and get to know them before they
Yeah.
say yes or no that this is
Pick
what
a
we want
couple
to use.
examples from a major, and then maybe from something that's just going to TRC, so that we can.
Yeah, so they can see the
See the
difference.
difference.
Because there is a significant difference in a major and a
Okay.
TRC.
Yeah, so,
versus-
I wouldn't say there's a significant difference. There's just more meetings in there. Because
Means more
sometimes,
paperwork and more items in the link and more
sometimes
things
it's
for
got
people that aren't
TRC,
familiar.
DRB, Planning Commission, ALJ, and County Commission. So we put the dates and what happened at each one of those meetings. But
I think
that's pretty much it. We don't put any additional information unless one of those, like the PC adds conditions. The county commission's not, they're adopting it off the consent agenda. The
there's
ALJ's not gonna add more conditions.
it's typically a larger staff report.
It is, but
and you
it's,
have-
I wouldn't say it's substantially different.
I would say that depends on the project and if you're familiar with what you're reviewing.
Yeah, I mean,
Have a
some,
board that's a
some
volunteer
projects
board
are
and
bigger
not
than
everyone on it is a
others.
design professional, so they're not always understanding of what all this paperwork means.
Yeah,
You have to think
I'm
of
not
the bigger
always
picture that way.
understanding.
So,
No, I think that would be a great idea. Is
I
to get a
think-
couple of examples.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
come back with some suggestions,
And-
because we definitely want to help you streamline your process.
Okay,
but not
okay.
chase away your board either. The volunteers that are here, we need them. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
for sure. And I think that, let's just try it and see how it works. If it sucks, then we'll go back to square one. Not saying that square one sucks, but it's just something to possibly consider and I think
I think
initiate
what
some
you're
kind of
hearing from us
discussion,
is,
so.
we don't mind seeing the additional, but,
Mhm.
we definitely don't want to create more work. So
Yeah,
if you've got a
yeah.
way to satisfy that.
I just know the feedback from prior board members that, are not in the design professional position. It's like, this is a lot. And I don't know how to read this. And can you show me what I need to be concentrating on in here? And I can tell them right away, like pages 6 through 17, ignore this. Look for X's here, look for that there. Like Kylie, the three of us, we can go through this really quickly and find what we need. But a lot of these other volunteers, they just can't. So I don't want to overwhelm and then lose more members and be struggling for a board.
Okay.
yeah, some of these projects are quite large. I'm finishing up a project for Rosanna that, wasn't in the scenic corridor, but it's a very large project. They're doing over 380,000 square feet. They've got 2 hotels, 3 restaurants, 24 multifamily units. It's a big project.
Well, yeah, I think we should.
Okay,
Yep.
noted.
I'll just make one last quick comment. I think a big part of our challenge is not just the number of pages, it's there's something about the files, I don't know if it's the file size, that makes them extremely hard to scroll through.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's a file size problem.
I would think so.
I download large documents on a daily basis with the same computers, and I don't have that problem. So
Right.
there's something about either the website, maybe it needs to be on Dropbox. I don't know. There's something about the county's meeting materials that's not like other
Doesn't
stuff.
like 8.5 by 11 versus a 24 by 36 or a half size scan
Yeah.
of the drawings. It does not like
But I mean,
going
I-
between those
I
at all.
upload complete sets of drawings with renderings in them and all
Yeah.
that type of
Yeah.
stuff on Dropbox all the time, and I never have this kind of problem. So
So I have something to add. I was just informed by the clerk, yeah, okay, that our platform is about to change.
the county
For-
changing a platform?
Weird.
Wow.
I don't have an opinion on that, David, but we are about to change platforms, which I believe might help with some of those issues that you're bringing up in this meeting. So I guess we'll be in touch with Karen about what that process. Okay, we go live at the end of this month.
iCompass that's getting replaced.
iCompass, okay.
iCompass is
So-
what we use to upload it to the county website.
So,
So do we need a motion to continue this
No,
discussion?
it's
This
just,
is, this is just an additional.
yeah, it's just a
so-
discussion. We can put it back on the agenda anytime.
All right,
okay,
let's go ahead and move on.
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for bringing it up. All right, so, Tim,
Yeah, number 4, public sign deviation. So we've been brainstorming over the last, I don't know, several months, trying to figure out a way for McDonald's and Express Oil to get their own signage, because that's one parcel owned by Publix, it's an out parcel.
I'm sorry, you want to give a little, if you're going to start there, give a little bit of the background for the benefit of the board.
I'll get there.
Okay, okay.
But I wanted to start with, if you came in today, you could have one sign. We amended the code. It used to say every 400 linear feet or portion thereof, which meant if it was 401 feet, you could have another sign. So Publix has two signs, one at each end of the development. These out parcels are part of the Publix shopping center. It's one parcel owned by Publix, two out parcels. So McDonald's went into the eastern out parcel, Oil Express went into the western out parcel, and because it's one parcel, they can't have their own monument signs. So we talked about a couple different ways to accomplish this. One would be to plat the lot, so you'd have 3 platted lots instead of one overall parcel. But that's a fairly
Messy.
lengthy process. So we decided this would probably be the best process to utilize would be the deviation. So I'll read the request. This is a scenic corridor deviation application submitted by ServTech requesting approval of a deviation for 2 additional monument signs on 10.62 acres with the future land use of mixed use and a zoning of village mixed use. Properties located in District 5 at 2038 US Highway 98 West. So this would give, they already have their own building signage. This shopping center has a master sign plan. So this would give McDonald's their own monument sign, and you give Oil Express their own monument sign. So he brought some handouts. The inserts that were uploaded weren't quite compliant, so I worked with them to get the signs compliant. I mean, the request is allow us to have this, but I want to make sure that the signs that you're looking at are compliant.
Tim, before you leave, can I ask you one question?
Yeah.
So we talk about, and when I think big picture on this stuff and master planning for our community, these master plans that go in, you say that they already have an approved master signage plan, right?
Yes.
Within that master signage plan, the main monument sign is supposed to have spaces for all of the tenants on it.
No.
Okay. So why is that not the case?
Our code says, specifically says that a main identification sign isn't supposed to have I'm not wording it quite correctly, but
It would have the complex name and not the individual.
Not the individual business names.
right.
And what would be the point in that?
Well, I've gotten a lot of complaints that people can't get on the sign, but that's what our code says. A main identification sign isn't supposed to have a list of every business in that complex. It's supposed to have the plaza name, the project name, or the business. And with Publix, it's kind of the same. It's a public shopping center. They're the main tenant, and it's...
And I want to just, from a history and background perspective here, so we had this discussion when McDonald's came in. And so I know you remember that. David, I don't think you were on at that particular time. I know, Melissa, you weren't. So the discussion was, should we allow McDonald's to have a monument sign? And the Publix itself right now has 2 existing monument signs on that stretch.
One on either end.
One on either end at the entrances. And so the question was, do we allow McDonald's to have theirs? And if I'm correct, if I remember correctly, we said yes, but Publix has to take one down. Isn't that what the condition was?
I think so,
Yeah.
yes.
So the number of signs on the parcel would have stayed the same. And then we
Oh,
alluded to the fact that we were going to have the same question come up because of the way we voted for McDonald's, that the oil change place, it was going to ask. Ace is not on the road. Theirs is put back a little bit, but then you've also got the storage and then the other parcel. So there's gonna be a lot along that frontage. So, that was part of that discussion for the approval on the McDonald's sign. And the McDonald's sign originally wanted to be larger than both of the public signs. And I think, if I remember correctly, we had them reduce that size. So they have an approved monument sign. They just cannot install it until, one of the monument signs for Publix was
Well,
removed.
I don't think that was approved in anything. It was discussed, but I don't think there was an approval.
Was that not part of the condition of approval?
I don't think so. I'd have to double check.
I
But,
remember it the way you're saying it.
and it's gonna be, I mean, Publix has already said they're not gonna take one of their signs down. They're not gonna do that. So that's why we were looking at the plat, but the plat is really difficult because they're gonna have a little sliver there where their sign is, so they can keep that sign, because our code says you can have one sign per parcel. So if those are two parcels with their own parcel numbers, they can have a monument sign. But to make that plat work, I think we can do it, but it's gonna be rather difficult because you're gonna have like I don't know, an 8 or 10-foot strip from 98 going back, or no, probably they'll cut it off. Anyway, that sign has to stay on the Publix property for them to have it. And they have indicated they absolutely want to keep that sign. So that's why we're doing this. I mean, I don't know if you guys will approve it or not, but I think we can make the plat work, but it's going to be rather difficult to do that.
I just wanted to, that was the background that I remembered in the discussion that I remember. So
you-
I just kind of wanted to make sure that we all had that same,
I remember that now as well, but I think that was just discussion because we were approving the master sign plan, so I don't think that was part of that.
I would think you would need to go back and check because I feel pretty comfortable that that was what we decided.
Yep.
I can
And-
check. I can
Because
look at
I
the,
know it made everyone angry at the time.
But yeah, it did.
well, you must be
We
doing
just-
something right. It made everyone
Oh, yeah,
angry.
you get some attention, you're working. I just think that, here's, I'm just gonna say this one thing about master planning and signage and road frontage and everything else. We don't have really tall signs here, there's limitations. So the visibility of what's there is already limited until you come right up on it, right? I just don't know that littering Highway 98 with, let's say you had 5 buildings that were tiny and they were in individual parcels, and whether you parcel or not is to the either benefit or detriment of the future developer. But I just don't know that littering Highway 98 with a million different individual business signs is the way to go either.
Well, and
So,
I don't think that will necessarily change anything, but I've had enough experiences with these businesses that no amount of signage is too much, in their opinion. No amount of signage.
Which is why we're here,
Right.
for a lot of reasons.
But I
well,
mean, they've
the
got
amount of
buildings.
signage you need
They've
is on your
got,
cell phone when you Google that business and how close are they to me.
yeah.
That's where
They've
it
got,
really comes from.
they've got building signs, so I don't know what difference it would make for them to have a monument sign there.
Right.
But, they want one and they're trying to find a way to get there.
And in your recommendation, when we read through the material, the application states that you don't see that in staff's professional opinion, you don't see that this is a detriment and you do feel that it meets.
Well, that's really up to you guys. I mean, that's what I put in there, yes, but I don't typically put a lot in there because the board's gonna do what they're gonna do regardless of what I put in my part of it. But this would be probably one of the more busier areas. The shopping center, the landing does have 3 monument signs. We discussed this previously as well. That one is supposed to be over on Musset Bayou. It's supposed to be off the entrance of Musset Bayou, but it's not. It's fronting 98. So there's 3 monument signs there. So with this one having 4, it would be one of the more busy area. But if it was 4 separate projects, they could all have their own sign and we would just approve it.
Do we enter our staff report? I'm sorry,
Oh,
I didn't make my
yes,
check
I-
mark if
I-
we
I
did.
did forget. Thank
Okay.
you. Can I enter the staff report into the record, please?
Yes, so noted. Any other questions for Tim before we move on to our applicant? Okay. Yes, sir. Please state your name for the, in the microphone for the
Yes,
record.
hi, I'm Stacy Brown with ServTech Solutions, here on behalf of Public Supermarkets.
And you have an exhibit for us, Mr. Brown?
Yes, I have a couple of them.
And these are replacing what we're currently seeing in the documents?
Yes. Replacing the sign graphic.
While he's handing those out, if I could just make sure I understand, the action that we are thinking about taking is limited to approving the deviation, and then the individual signs will come to us? Or we're considering,
You'll just make sure Cora gets
No,
one too.
once you guys, if you guys approve the deviation, you have the signs in front of you and they're compliant. They don't come back.
oh, I see what you're saying.
They
Okay,
ha-
yeah.
after
The
you-
only thing preventing these from happening by staff, with the staff approval, staff level approval, is the fact that they're not allowed to have the two signs.
Correct.
Okay, very good.
So the next step, if the deviation was approved, is for them to upload a sign application for each one, and then we would approve it because you guys have seen it.
What do I look at for?
Okay. I don't think this is the McDonald's sign.
Different location.
So this, the size, I remember we had the size discussion, and I feel very confident that the sign that we approved with their development order was smaller than this. I'm sorry, I'm gonna need you to speak in the microphone. Our recording doesn't pick up if you're away from it.
Understood. Yeah, so originally Publix had sent me a McDonald's sign that was stamped approved. So I didn't know where it came from. They didn't tell me exactly. I do have it here if you'd like me to bring it to
What we
you.
have in our.
That's
packet.
what's in the packet, but I don't know where that, the discussion that, I have strong opinions about sign height, so that's how I can kind of feel like I remember this. I feel like the 7 foot is probably a lot closer, but I still feel like it was, I feel like we dropped the height and it wasn't 10 feet. I know, I feel like we've reduced it by 20% maybe.
Yeah. When I chime in on this is when I know whether or not that sign's sitting in a swale.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's going to make a difference in the visibility of the graphic, because you won't see the base if it's sitting down in the topo.
This one was sitting in front of the swale.
Right. I think even the location in this new packet is different than the location specified in the packet. For the pictures?
I believe you're correct, yeah. I think
Yeah, so I think McDonald's had sent a site plan that showed the sign location in a slightly different location than I had originally placed it.
not by much, but, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's basically at the southwest corner of their ground lease.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a light pole there. Okay, you want to put it next to the light post. You've actually shifted it back. This will be set back away, if we set back further than the public sign, which sits out closer according to this new.
No, it'd be directly in line with it.
This one's showing it right by this light pole?
Oh, yeah, no, this is what McDonald's brought in and we approved. The one that they've got in the packet has McDonald's sign and the Oil Express sign
express.
Right, I guess my
sign.
question is, what he just handed us, this sign is in a different place than it is on this
Yeah,
map.
yeah, absolutely.
It
So-
is, yes.
So which one are you asking for?
I believe per McDonald's, what they sent is the location that they would like to have.
That they sent in this or in this on
In
the
the one
computer?
that you just held up.
So it
yes.
is different.
Paper one.
So they want to set it back. So it does not line up with the public sign now.
Okay.
Would you prefer that it lined up?
So Publix, so you prepared this request with the 4 signs visible?
I
and-
did,
and that-
yes.
And that's what you're requesting for us to approve, or the 2 additional signs?
Correct.
Um, Before we kind of get into discussion about exactly the dynamics of specifically what we're approving, does anyone have any kind of questions for the applicant
Is the Express?
holistically, or, you know,
Right,
before we
is
go
the
to individual
Express
signs?
Oil staying in the same place as it is on the original packet, or is it also being asked to relocate? There's not anything in here that shows it being relocated, so I can only assume that we would have 3 signs that line up in conjunction with each other, with the exception of McDonald's as far as this layout.
Now, they haven't specifically told me that they had a preference of where it was located. What's in the packet is more or less what I came up with based on where the public signs were located. The McDonald's site plan that was on the larger print that I brought here tonight, their original site plan has their sign set back a little bit. I don't know that they're steadfast in keeping it there, or, you know, based on approval, if they need to put it in line with the other 3. That's something that I would need to ask them, but I'm sure that,
Well, right now, it looks like it's sitting right on their property line. I can't see it in the master plan that you sent me
There isn't,
on this one,
there isn't an actual property line.
or development line, maybe, I guess. Okay, so it's still all one parcel. Okay.
And when the
Construction, okay.
development order came through for the oil place, Tim, we did not have a signage in that packet. It was not, there was nothing approved with the oil change place, is that correct? I'm trying to remember, I don't remember that one as clearly as I remember the McDonald's.
I believe I think you're right. I think I said at the time that, you know, they have a master sign plan, so when they turn it in, staff could approve it. But see, master sign plans don't include the monument sign. I don't know why, but it doesn't. But the only thing I had them change was, these signs weren't quite compliant with the 80 square feet and the 35% copy area. So they fixed that. They are compliant in both of those measures. I honestly didn't look at the location or anything, but it certainly would make sense that they would be in a line.
For the record, I guess, one other observation, the Tire Express, or
Oil
the oil change entire place, the sign that was handed to us, that doesn't match the architecture of the building.
Yeah, I didn't even look at that. I just wanted them to make sure it was compliant.
Significantly different. It's different colors, different. Anyway, I think the sign itself would need a deviation request.
We have any additional questions or things we need to ask of our applicant?
I have just questions for staff, but not the applicant.
Melissa, you have?
I'm just curious, I mean, as far as traffic volume, business volume, is it necessary really to add more signage? I feel like I've driven past there a lot and I didn't miss the McDonald's when it first opened or any of it. And I'm
Right.
kind of,
Mhm.
you know, the
Less
whole
is
setting
more.
precedents for
Yeah.
more
Yep.
signs, more signs, more signs. I don't really see a need.
Well, yeah, my question for staff
Yeah,
was
absolutely.
was absolutely related to that, so I'll go ahead and ask it. And that is, the oil entire place, It looks, in the photographs, it looks like it only has a single sign on the front of the building facing 98.
Yeah, those are drive aisles, so it can only have one sign.
That's what I was going to ask, could it have more than one, but the answer is no, okay.
Right. And, you can make a condition, if you're going to approve it, to make it compliant with the building, because I don't think the building is blue. Their sign is blue.
The brick's a different color, et cetera, so.
Anything else from our applicant?
So to clarify, and I'm sorry if I didn't understand this correctly, but if we approve this deviation, we are also approving the signage as presented unless we request otherwise? Okay.
All right. Thank you. Does anyone from the public want to speak on this one? All right, and seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Do we know what the total width of the drive aisle to drive aisle is?
No. But I think overall, I think it's just a little over 400 linear feet. That's how they could have that second sign. We've since changed it where you can only have 2 signs if you had 800 linear feet now. But I think from the 2 entrances, I think it's a little over 400 linear feet. But from the distance between the 2 out parcels, I don't know what that is.
Okay.
And I didn't really look at the location, but it seems like it would make sense if it was on the same location on each out parcel, as opposed to being on one side with one and on the other side with the other, but I don't know, maybe that wouldn't matter.
Dirty math with counting the dimension of the parking bays, we're getting close to 600 feet. Just as a discussion point.
I didn't realize it was that long.
Dirty math, but,
No, they're supposed to be 20 feet wide.
okay. All right. So I think we should probably have 2 separate discussions. The first discussion would be about the number of signs. And then the second part of that discussion would be whether or not the signage that was presented is appropriate. Does everybody kind of agree with that? Because I think that there's a lot of discussion on 2 separate topics, and if we kind of limit it, that might help guide some of that. I understand the need and the want for the signage. I also understand that the McDonald's and the oil change business are very close and visible to 98. I have really strong opinions about monument signs, and I have really strong opinions about tall monument signs. And I think 10 feet's a tall monument sign for a parcel that's less than an acre. I don't want to dominate that conversation, but I think that we have to kind of consider kind of the 2 sides of it, that we have 3 businesses that want to be represented along the frontage with the monument sign, and if there was 3 separate parcels, they would be allowed to do so. But we also have a request for 4 signs. If it was 1 parcel today coming in, they would be allowed 1 monument sign.
Right.
So,
I just question the real need for the signage. I don't know, I would like to see some valid explanation as to why they need this signage. Because to my knowledge, as a local and as other people that come in and out, they all see these businesses. They are literally road front. I mean, they are right there. I don't see where it adds value, but prove me wrong.
I agree completely.
I would agree with that as well.
As a realtor, I don't feel like adding signs improves the overall aesthetic of the community. Unless there is a valid, like we say, there is a.
Well, I mean, prove me wrong that it doesn't bring more business into them. I don't want to hurt a business, but
Right.
show me where this is proven that this is going to bring you
It's
more
going to bring
business.
more, agreed.
Because
completely.
these right here, and sorry, buddy, I'm holding up a cell phone.
Yeah.
This is how people find you. I mean, I just don't know that more signage is gonna be a good thing, because one deviation is gonna lead to another deviation, gonna lead to another deviation, then all you have is a bunch of individual monument signs. What are they doing?
I agree.
How do you feel, David?
I'm inventing new language. I'm thinking maybe we could create a category of sign called a junior monument sign.
Well, I mean,
Complimentary monument sign?
no, I mean, I think that,
I'm sorry. Is it my understanding, though, if they plat the property, they're allowed the signage? That code now? Because they're prepared to plat it, that we're this close to submitting plats.
they would still have to remove one of the signs. You would have one for Publix, one for your oil
Yeah, when
change
you-
place, and one for the McDonald's.
Because I believe that would mean that the Publix parcel changed, right? So if they change their parcel, they get to keep their two signs or not?
I mean, what's there is there. It can stay unless you guys put a condition on it, which you may or may have already done. I don't remember. But the code does say you can have one monument sign per parcel. So if they platted it and they had 3 parcels, they could put one on each parcel. We would not make them remove the other one. It would just be non-conforming, because when they put it in, the code allowed for it.
Yeah.
So it'd be non-conforming. So as long as it stayed there, it can stay there unless someone runs over it, which happens occasionally.
Yeah, and is the plating going to create any other unintended consequences with their parking and stormwater and all that type of stuff?
I don't think so, but until we get into it, I can't say for sure, but I don't believe so.
Only when they go to redevelop.
Because
They're not
each
ready.
out parcel has their own parking. So Publix has their parking, even though it's all one parcel, I don't think that would be an issue. The biggest issue is going to be how they save their existing sign that's right there on the corner. That's going to be the hardest part of that process.
Okay, in that case, I mean, I don't want to be a stick in the mud and then for someone to go through all that legal effort and expense, just to put in a sign that we then don't really control. I mean, other than obviously the oil entire place is going to have to propose a sign that matches their architecture.
Yeah,
that's-
they'd
that's-
still have to come back to this board to get them approved once it was platted.
So I mean, this concept of, that I'm sort of trying to introduce of a junior monument sign, just one more question for you, Tim. If they did plat the property, could you just state what the size of the sign that would be allowed would be?
It's always 80 square feet.
Yeah,
And
so they
and
could-
20, the max copy area would be 28 square feet.
So the fact that they're a smaller parcel would have no effect? It would,
No.
it would.
Not with the
okay,
way our
good.
current code reads.
Yeah,
Oh.
okay.
Some of the others sign codes, it is based on the amount of road frontage, but in 98, it's just a set amount.
So where I'm headed with all this, I just wanted him to capture that in the minutes, or the record. You know, I think that, a smaller sign in keeping with the architecture of the building would give them, if they perceive they need this presence of a sign on there.
For
on the-
which property?
For both, for the McDonald's and the oil change place, if they really feel strongly that having a little monument sign out front is going to affect them, I don't know that it being 6 feet tall or 5 feet tall versus 8 feet tall would have a significant impact on whether people would notice it or not. I mean, predominantly during the day, you're probably not going to see it. It's mixed in with the cars and the landscaping. At night, it's internally lit, you'd see it whether it was 8 feet tall or 6 feet tall or 5 feet tall.
Well, right now you've got a 10-foot McDonald's sign and an 8-foot Oil Express change sign.
No, that's what I'm saying is I don't think, I don't, I'm not in agreement that we should have 4 large signs
Right.
on this parcel. So what I'm trying to navigate to is that if this development feels strongly that they need those signs, they're going to go through the plotting, the process to plat. I have a suspicion that there's going to be collateral damage when they go to plat it.
Possible. We
But I'm
haven't-
not going to, I imagine that's going to be an unpleasant outcome at some point for them, either now or in the future, because they're making their parcel smaller. But I think smaller signage would be something I would be willing to consider, but it'd need to be significantly smaller than what they.
Can we continue this?
Absolutely.
That's what I was going to suggest as well,
yeah,
because it sounds like you
there's-
need to flesh it out a little bit
Yes,
more.
There's, right now, I can tell you, right now, I will not approve what's in front of me. I don't agree with the sizing. There are no good color specifications on the Express Oil tire. I mean, let us make an amendment to approve and try to put every single thing in there that we want to. And this is what happens. People go off and do whatever they want anyway. Okay?
Unfortunately,
So-
yeah.
I'd rather see this come back to us with something realistic. I personally would like to see these signs line up. The board may have a different opinion, meaning that what was newly submitted today for the location of McDonald's, no. But in the original that you guys submitted where we're showing these signs lined up, I think from a design standpoint and a visual standpoint on the road, I think that looks better aesthetically, okay?
I agree with that.
Okay, and on the sizing, I am completely in agreement with our chairwoman that 10 feet and 8 feet is way too big. And that this Express Oil Change Tire Engineer sign as presented right now, this bright blue does not comply. It does not match the existing colors of the buildings. There's no,
So
It's
the
not
way.
correct
yeah,
documentation.
Yeah, so the
It's
way
just-
that we have this discussion about signage,
no munsel.
we want the signage, the monument itself to match your architecture. If you want to use a logo color, it needs to be within your sign face that we cannot regulate. So if you want the blue backer, that needs to be in your square footage that you're allowed.
Okay.
I think that if you have the monument sign matching the building, the architecture of the building, and you just have your logo and your sign face, that we would be much more agreeable to having this discussion. Bright blue is not gonna work out for you. We had that same discussion with, McDonald's and Walmart, who have both complied. So, it's not out of the realm. I remember us reducing the size of the monument sign for McDonald's when it came through. But I think that David has proposed a very reasonable solution that if you want the additional signage, that the 2 additional signs need to be significantly smaller, very junior sized. I would recommend them be very comparable mass-wise. So that they feel like it's, part of the one rhythm. You've got, kind of the 2 Publix end butts, but have the 2 smaller ones of
Some
similar
kind of
massing.
synergy there
Yeah.
between them all to make them work as one.
And I think that we could probably have that discussion next month, or if you could get something turned around and approvable. We're not gonna feel comfortable approving an amendment without seeing appropriate signage. If we're not gonna make a list of conditions, it's like 20 lists long. I mean, it's just not gonna work out for it. But if you can bring back actual signage and actual locations coordinated with McDonald's, coordinated with your oil change, we can have that discussion, I think. But I don't think that's what we can do today. Does that feel like everybody else? Okay.
Yes.
Does someone want to make a motion then to continue it? Do you feel like you can turn that and back around? Tim, what's your deadline for June 4th?
I mean, we could always continue it again if it's not ready.
Oh, that's true. Okay. We can do, it's a very short turnaround for what you would have to turn back in for Tim to hit
Yeah.
June 4th. But if we continue it, we can always, like you said, we can
Okay.
hit you the next month too.
Yeah, I have to get with my clients, of course.
Actually, it'd have to be next Thursday.
So we'll say June 4th, and if you need more time, we're happy to continue it until you are able to bring that back.
Would that continuance include an additional posting? We'd have to repost?
No.
No, that's one of the benefits of continuing it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You do have to change the sign, put the new date on it.
Yep.
But that's it.
Okay, perfect.
Someone want to make that motion?
I'll move that we continue this deviation request to the June 4, 2026 DRB meeting.
No. Second? Second? Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Aye. All right. That one, continue to June 4th. All right.
How's that? Sorry.
All right. Item 5.
Okay, Legacy Beach Home sign deviation. This is a scenic corridor deviation application submitted by Signs Galore requesting approval of a building sign deviation for letter height from 24 inches to 40 inches and for sign height from 36 inches to 60 inches on 0.91 acres with the future land use of mixed use and a zoning of coastal center. Property is located in District 4 at 12330 US Highway 98 West in Miramar Beach. So the overall size of the sign is compliant, but because the way it's designed, it's 40 inches tall as opposed, or I'm sorry, it's 60 inches tall as opposed to 36 inches, and the letter height is 40 inches as opposed to 24. But overall, it meets the size requirement. So with that, I'd like to enter the staff report into the record, please.
All right, so noted.
And I'll entertain any questions you may have, or I'll turn it over to the applicant, but it's just the way this sign is designed.
Jay, any questions for Tim? All right, not seeing anybody. Does our applicant care to speak?
Good evening. My name is Michael Rutledge. I'm with Signs Galore. I'm here on behalf of Legacy Beach Homes. And so, we're seeking this deviation. I think in one of the drawings, you can kind of see I drew we have a rectangle of what would be allowed by code that kind of shows that the majority of what we're looking at for Legacy and Beach Homes is contained within that. It's just the descending and ascending letters that on the script that have been stylized, and that's just their logo. So we're just trying to keep their brand intact. And so, it sounds like 24 to 40, but even if it shows like the most of the the lower case on the script is only like, I don't have my glasses, let's see, it's 18 inches tall. So 24 inches is the allowable height. And then, the secondary. So, we're just asking for that. So because if I scale it down, I think there's an illustration where we showed side by side to try and get it to scale.
You're tiny.
Yeah, it looks like a stamp on the front of the building. The building's a pretty good size storefront with a.
Yeah, I don't think this is an uncommon ask since you're staying within your square footage. A lot of logos with that unusual shape kind of challenge some of the parameters that are set for that.
Yeah.
Are any questions for our applicant? No? All right, thank
Oh,
you.
I do have one quick question. On one of the exhibits, the word existing monument is out there. Does this deviation request, is it solely for the building sign?
The building sign, the staff can approve it because it's an existing monument that fits within the thing. We're just adding the logo on it within that allowable
Yeah, okay,
size, yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Does anyone from the audience want to speak on this one? All right, and seeing no one, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Any discussion? Anyone care to make a motion?
I'll move the approval of the Legacy Beach Homes sign deviation as requested.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And you're approved. Thank you, sir.
Very much. You guys have a good evening.
All right, Ms. Reed, Carrabas.
Okay, this is Carrabba's remodel. This is a request to approve by final order, project number LTM 26000003. This is a less than minor development order application submitted by Florida Certified Sign Erectors LLC on behalf of Silver Sands Joint Venture Partners, requesting an approval for exterior modifications of an existing building on 0.71 plus or minus acres with the future land use of mixed use and a zoning category of coastal center mixed use. The property is in District 4 at 10562 US Highway 98 West and can be identified by the parcel number in your staff report. May I enter the staff report into the record?
So noted.
Okay, so the Carrabba's remodel, it does meet the minimum technical requirements of the Scenic Corridor Review Standards for Chapter 6. There is one thing that I would like the board to keep in mind, and I had extensive conversation with the applicant on how the board interprets, this is not in here, semi-cutoff lights, particularly for LED strip lighting. And I couldn't find anything in the code that speaks to that specifically. And historically speaking, and I had conversations with Tim to seek guidance on this, I don't believe it has been approved formally on Highway 98 corridor. So I'm just not quite sure how the board interprets LED stripe lighting, and if that is considered a semi-cutoff fixture or not. But besides that item, I don't see any other red flags with what they're proposing.
And this is just the building itself. There's not going to be any site changes
No,
to anything. So it's just going to be the update on the building
correct,
facades.
correct.
Any other questions of staff?
Just to clarify the comments about the stripe lighting, is that the very last page of the report has a, what looks like maybe I think it's a photograph of a building that has a
Around the parapet.
Yes.
kind of cornice, the
Yeah.
cornice is lit.
Yes.
Lighting,
Where? Yes.
back. Pages 23 and 24 on ours.
And we've typically talked about that in context of bringing attention to the building. There's some text at the, not necessarily specific to lighting, but at the beginning of the section that starts to talk about colors. And we've typically talked about the cornice lighting specifically, in that drawing attention to the building with your architectural or color styles. So that's kind of the context. We don't typically talk about it in context of the full or semi shut off.
Okay.
It's more of decorative attention seeking.
I see. Okay.
And we have not, to my knowledge, approved any of it to this point. I know we've had a lot of proposals for it, especially with the fast food restaurants.
Yeah, I think Burger King was the last request, and you guys said no.
Yeah. I think we've had several of those, so, but that's kind of the context that we typically talk about it in. I haven't seen us talk about it in a lighting cutoff perspective.
Okay.
Any other questions of staff? All right, would our applicant care to come up?
Lori Moreland, I'm with Florida Certified Sign Erectors on behalf of Silver Sands. And we are proposing to renovate the Carrabba's Grill restaurant. It's an existing restaurant that's been there for quite some time. And they're warning, it's several restaurants that need upgrades and renovations because they have been there for so long. And so the photo that you're seeing is one that was renovated in Georgia. And so I put that in there just so you could kind of see what the light cap is clear and low. It's a low profile LED illuminated light, which enhances the architectural for the building itself in a more modern design. So it really enhances that building. And also, what I would like to add on the light cap is that it's more inviting for the clients to have that lighting aspect as a safety. It just gives you that additional feeling that, you know, it's a good feeling that you can kind of see in the parking lot for the employees and all the clients, where you, like if you have your family, you would be more wanting to go there to eat because it just gives you that more safety aspect. And it is a new modern design, but it's clean and it's low impact as far as the illumination. It's similar when like you have your residential kitchen cabinets, and so the lighting is just very low profile underneath the cabinets, but it gives you that sense of direction inside the house. And so that's kind of where they're going with that too. They want to have that sense of direction in the parking lot as well. And it doesn't have the light spills that goes over to the adjacent properties or the roadways. And it's a controlled illumination aspect. But it is a modern design with a lot of other restaurants and so forth wanting to do that. But it looks very professional and clean, and it brings a lot more safety to the site, I do believe. And two, on the paint colors, we have the approved Munsell paint colors. And so I brought some samples because I wanted y'all to be able to just see in real time, not just on those color renderings, because, you know, a lot of times it just doesn't really see the what it's supposed to look like. But these are, this is the white, and this is the chocolate gray.
Thank you. And are you replacing the stone veneer, or is that gonna just be painted?
It's just gonna be painted. But it's gonna look really good with the new fresh coat of paint and the accent, and then the awnings that is already there. You know, they're outdated, so they're gonna be replaced with a new modern metal awnings with the gauntlet gray color, and they're neutral colors. So it's really gonna look good. I think the appearance-wise is really gonna be refreshing.
I think the one question I would have for you in regards to the new lighting is how does that work with the existing lighting? I don't really see, I mean, I see where you've got it listed, I mean, it shows on the elevations, but is the existing lighting gonna remain exactly the same and you just wanna add this downlight feature to it, this tube lighting feature?
It'll be on the front, at the very top, and on the edges where the stone is on the outside of the building there at the front. It's just more like a glow and an accent light.
But you're keeping the
But
existing
you're keeping,
downlights
right,
that are
because
on
you've
the
got
building?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, I'm counting lights already on the front of the building. So those are all gonna stay?
Yes.
Okay.
We don't really want to take away any lighting aspects for the parking lot and entry into the restaurant. you know, so we would like to keep those.
Any other questions for Ms. Moreland? All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody from the audience care to speak on this one? All right, and seeing no one, we'll go ahead and close that public hearing. Any discussion? Yeah. It's not something we've approved previously.
You couldn't hear me. I just said I'm not a fan of tube lighting. We haven't allowed it anywhere else.
And I don't think-
It's nowhere else in the shopping center either, to my
Right.
knowledge.
And it's not something that we have
It has its place
associated.
in certain
It
places.
has
It
its
does have its
place.
place, but,
And I don't think that pedestrian safety is one of them.
right.
But
It gives visibility
Yeah.
from the road. It is what it is. You stand out from the other people in the shopping center, and that is the main goal. You want to identify and.
Well,
so we're-
on that note, it's in front of, facing Highway 98, but you have a tree line that you cannot see the restaurant.
Right.
So I don't really think it's gonna improve that aspect. It's mainly to.
we understand your ask.
It's, yeah, it's to enhance the look of the building.
We understand.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I mean, I like color upgrade. I like the facade upgrades. I think that the awning will be nice.
Yes.
I don't have any issues at all with it, with the exception of the removal of the cornice lighting, in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah. Would anybody care to make a motion on number 6?
To clarify, you would want to just remove approval for the tube lighting?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I mean, to me, they've already got the sconces. It seems like they're
they've
gonna keep
got a lot of
those.
lighting on the front
Yeah.
of the building. Yeah, that's fine. David, do you have anything to say?
Nope, I agree. The tube lighting, the challenge is it's a little bit like, you got two teams playing baseball and, you know, one of them gets to use the cork bat and the other one doesn't. The reality is that if we approve that type of lighting enhancement to one property, you know, we're always very clear that deviations for one building don't necessarily constitute something that can be used by another property, but the reality is the concept would be the same. It is lighting that's intended to draw attention to the architecture, and you know, that's just not appropriate under the code. So I guess to put it more a bigger point on it, I believe that for us to approve it would require a deviation request because it violates
The tenant
the
of
code
yeah.
as written. And so while I think on this project we need to make it clear that we're not approving it because it is in the packet, I do think that if a project proposes something like that in the future, I think the way the staff, my opinion is the way the staff can handle it is that it does not meet the intent of the code and therefore would have to be a deviation request.
Specifically, we have text in there that says if it's not specifically allowable, then it's not allowed. So that might be a way of addressing that in the future.
Yep.
All right.
So with that, do we have a motion on the floor yet?
We don't yet.
I'm going to make the motion in that context. I move that we approve the Carrabba's remodel as presented, with the exception of the decorative LED strip lighting that is indicated in the drawings.
We have a motion.
Second?
Motion a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Before we finish our last item, does anyone mind if we take a 5 minutes real quick? Okay, thank you. We're just going to take 5 minutes. I apologize for the freestanding emergency room, but we'll be right back.
Yeah, here you go. Oh, yeah, no, I noticed every time she takes a sip, I'm like, "Oh, that looks good." Oh, is it working?
Yes, I was very grateful.
Yeah. And, so we've already done the final order on this one. This is just, so it'll be the master sign plan. We did this one 3 months ago? No, that's the master sign plan.
I walked out and go down this morning, and it's been HD double hockey stick all day.
I understand that one. Yeah, as soon as you saw it, I knew you'd.
We had all kinds of discussions about this year.
Yep. All right. Thank you. We'll go ahead and resume our meeting.
Okay, so
So Tim, you know, we typically prefer to talk about everything together, so if you wouldn't mind to present 7, 8, and 9.
well, and there should be a 10,
Oh,
the actual project.
so didn't we approve the project a couple of months ago?
No,
No?
that was for feedback.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
So we're gonna do the 3, but unfortunately, the other one fell through the cracks and didn't
did
get.
it not get advertised?
No, it did not. But I'm thinking, because they're from out of town, they're from Central Florida, so I'm thinking since we're gonna review this as a whole, if you have any issues, you can express them and we'll bring it back next month. They don't have to come back and, you know, y'all can just approve it. But yeah, some way it did not get advertised, but there should be all 4. But I'll go ahead and read all 3 here so we can, you know, look at it as a whole. So the first is the color deviation. The second is the sign deviation. And then the third is the master sign plan. Just like for Circle K, they're doing the master sign plan to get the directional signs. So I'll just go through each one. This is a scenic corridor deviation application submitted by Catalyst Design Group requesting approval of a color deviation for the red ER tower with internal illumination. This is a scenic corridor deviation application submitted by Catalyst Design Group requesting approval of a sign deviation for 2 additional building signs and an increase in letter height from 24 inches to 36 inches. That's the ER on the ER tower. Emergency and ambulance, we're not calling signs. It's not advertising, so they're not going to have a sign permit or anything for those 2. And then finally, this is a scenic corridor master sign plan application submitted by Catalyst Design Group requesting approval for a master sign plan on 2.59 acres with the future land use of mixed use, the zoning of village mixed use. Properties located in District 5, immediately west of the public shopping center. So with that, if I could enter all 3 staff reports into the record.
So noted.
And then the project itself, there is no outstanding comments. It just didn't get advertised.
Tim, can we go back to number 8? So I just want to clarify. The 2 building signs that are the additional signs.
One is
Because we have the
the-
2 HCA naming signs.
Yeah, that's one.
And then we have the ER. So
Those 2.
they're not counting the emergency and the ambulance signage.
Correct. And the ER, they want to go from 24 inches to 36 inches in height.
And this is not a corner lot, so it doesn't get the 2 signs?
No,
It's a drive aisle that.
the
gets-
drive out
okay.
for the public shopping center. And I don't know if you want to discuss the master sign plan in depth, but I mean, they're really, all they're trying to do there is get the directional signs, but they're showing all the other signage on the property.
No, I think that's appropriate. It makes sense.
And I suspect they will come back for a monument sign, but they haven't done that yet.
The monument sign that's in we have a monument sign in the package. It's shown on that would be part of the development order. That would be
Yeah.
the number 10
Yes,
item.
it can,
Okay.
it can be, yes.
Um,
Because the master sign plan does not approve
The
but it
monument.
is it is included with the project.
Okay, and we do have it here for
Yeah,
reference.
she shows all of them. So, if you have any, I mean, it's fairly straightforward. They want the tower to be red and internally illuminated. They want the second, HCA.
HCA,
Yeah.
healthcare.
So that is the request. And again, if you have any comments about the project overall, let them know, and, we'll advertise it, you all vote, and that one will be done. They don't have to come back.
Okay. And for the red, the deviation is for the color of the tower itself.
Yes,
That's for the whole 30 feet.
that is for the whole tower.
Is that a cabinet sign itself? I mean, the whole color, it's all illuminated from,
It's internally illuminated.
and we're only counting the sign face on the ER
Yes,
portion of
just the
that.
E and the R. Those will be white, and they'll be 36 inches tall. Yeah, it's,
Like the
it's,
Funiac.
I think it's going to be pretty much exactly the same. It's just, the Funiac, they don't even have they repealed their sign code, so it's pretty much a free-for-all.
Theirs is orange though, isn't it?
It's red.
Red?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's red. I drive by there every day.
Okay.
I think the buildings are pretty much going to be the same, right?
All right.
I think my only comment when we kind of talked about it before was that it is red. And I
Yeah.
suggested possibly just doing like maybe
The
the
tip.
top.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
That was the prior comment.
Yeah.
Does our applicant want to come up and present?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Dean Burgess with Emerald Coast Associates. We were the original engineers of record for the master plan of the Move It Storage, now Avid Storage, and this particular parcel. When HCA purchased the property, there were some conversations just about the master plan with me and Catalyst Engineers. They're out of Orlando. And you know, I shared my materials with them, and they are the engineer. I am not the engineer on the project, but I got involved just as their local presence. And so I helped them put up the signs for the meeting, do the advertising, go to TRC, et cetera. So I'm more of just a county facilitator for the project. I'd like to introduce Alex Reed. She's the project architect, and she will talk about the specifics and entertain any questions from the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Me okay? Yes, okay. I'm Alex Reed. I'm with Hereford Dooley. I'm an architect with them. Catalyst, we submitted under Catalyst, so I'm kind of representing them and Fort Walton Destin Hospital and Hereford Dooley, so. Yeah, what questions do you have for me? I do have some material samples. I understand we're under the Munsell Code of Color. Munsell is having an internal transfer of systems or something, so they could not get me anything physical. So I had Sherwin-Williams color match. So I have the Sherwin-Williams kind of equivalents. I also have the IFAS in those colors. And I have a material sample of that ER tower. It's like a Panaflex material. So if you would like to see those. I also have a rendering of like what this building will look like from 98. It's pretty generous with how much you're going to see of the building, but I can also show you that too.
I'd love to see your rendering. And we would like to see the building, the material samples you brought, and if we could please leave those either with Dean or with Tim so that we can have them for the next meeting when we do the development order. That would also be helpful.
Absolutely. Let me get these together for you.
I remember when we looked at this one the last time, I thought we had already approved the development order, so I didn't have any problem with the site itself at all. So I didn't think that was an issue. If you wouldn't mind to make sure that Cora gets a copy of the, of this too, or that one, but you know, just whichever.
The red, this is like HCA's typical red, so like it'll be closer to this. So Sherwin-Williams did not have a better example of the red. Honestly, when I look at it on a computer screen, the red's gonna be closer to this
Okay.
than this like product thing. So, but this is kind of the material. It's the frame.
Thank you. Does anybody want me to pass these down, or you got them?
And so you were also correct, the sign deviation is for the one branded sign and then for the ER tower. So we would have one on the east and one on the south of the building.
Oh, yeah.
I will also get you guys the actual Munsell colored IFA samples when I get the Munsell chips.
I think we're good with that, just as long as staff has them for the officials. Okay. Do we have any questions for Ms. Reed? No? Okay. Thank you so much. Does anyone from the public want to speak on this one? And seeing no one, we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing. All right.
You know, I'm sorry, I've done this a couple times now. I guess I do have a question for the applicant. On the red sign, the
Tower.
sort of blade tower, if we were to restrict the dimension of the internally lit portion of it, is there a way that would work? In other words, the way it's designed, is it kind of all or nothing, or does it have to become building? Does that, my question make sense? How would it
It
alter the
does.
design of that element if it was not all the same internally lit thing?
I think the part that is not illuminated probably needs to be a different material.
Yeah.
Because it's just kind of like on a tube structure, so there's not
Yeah.
anything inside of there that would restrict the light from going through. So I don't know if that answers your question.
This is going way back, but for your knowledge, for everybody's knowledge here, When Ascension took over Emerald Coast Sacred Heart, I was the guy who made them make the Ascension, the Ascension logo smaller. Now, interestingly enough, I sit on that board today. I don't think they made the connection that I was that guy, but anyway. So I didn't want you to feel like we're picking on you. And I also wanted to disclose, in case it came up, that I was on Ascension's board, since Ascension and this entity are direct competitors in this market. So my comment is architectural in nature, and I'm being consistent. I picked on them as well. We do want the public, obviously, there are times when the public is looking for this building and we want them to find it in a way that's different than a tire store or a McDonald's. But we do have the same thing in play that we talked about on the last project, which is when one building starts calling a lot of attention to itself, even though in this case it's probably justified, we got to be careful because it tends to make everything else diminish, and then our whole goal of this subdued colors and all that type of stuff starts kind of getting wobbly. And so that's why we spend so much time talking through all these, it seems like we're, wringing our hands over what might seem like minutia. But that's why. So I do think the architecture of the building and this blade or column or the tower element look good. My concern is just it is a large object to be internally illuminated. And as an example, to point out as trying to be consistent, we mentioned on the tire store that if they wanted that bright blue, it needed to fit inside the dimensions of the sign. And so to be consistent, not that we're under 100% obligation to treat every project exactly the same. There are different things going on. And as I just said a second ago, a tire store and a medical facility are two very different things. But I do have that concern. And so since that is essentially, I mean, am I understanding correctly? That is one of the deviations is for the color and the fact that it's internally lit and 30 feet tall. So that's why I was asking the question, is there a way architecturally to kind of capture that character? It's the internally lit portion of it that I have the problem with. So
Okay.
it's
And I would
not the
agree with that.
red, it's the internally lit red.
Okay.
I
And the
think-
height of it,
Yeah.
because
And
it's
the
so
height.
much. Yeah.
And I would agree with that. I think there's an argument to be made for the color and the limited use that you have selected for it.
Okay.
I think it's a stronger argument than if you had tried to come in with a whole building frontage or something
That's red,
that was
right.
red, because of the nature of the facility. But it does become a little bit more difficult with it being illuminated, the entire thing being illuminated, and which I think is why we had that discussion last time about limiting that in some way.
Can I ask, I know we're not all, trying to compare, but the Breakfast Point HCA, that one doesn't have the big red, does it? Am I correct in that?
Not sure. I'll be honest. I think the tower came within the last 3 to 5 years. I've been with the
Okay.
firm for about 1.
'Cause
So
I'm trying to remember, but I think when I drove by, I remember noticing after the meeting when we talked about this before, I made a conscious point, okay, when I see HCA's, I need to look, and when I see medical buildings, I need to look. And I did note that Ascension did not have large red signage, and I noted that Breakfast Point did not have the large red signage. And at the time of the meeting, Defuniak didn't yet. It had the coastal blue accent, but the red tower was not installed yet.
okay.
So just in my mind, if it were possible to kind of negotiate somewhere between not having.
City of Destin has something similar to this. I
Does
mean,
it? Okay.
Yeah, and it's more of like an urgent care ER situation.
Yeah.
It is extremely noticeable from the road. I mean, it is
Yeah.
there. Like, hello, from 5 lights down, I can see you.
And you mentioned
So-
the comparison with Ascension.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, Ascension came back with a master sign plan that had illuminated directional towers. And they were going to be, I think, maybe 10 feet tall, 8 to 10 feet tall. And they were going to be more for pedestrian navigation within the site. But we denied that for a similar reason. It's just
Right.
that creation of that
So much.
so much.
Yeah.
Not because we didn't feel like they needed internal directional signage, which is kind of a different discussion, but because it was creating light towers, kind of that felt a little bit awkward from that visibility.
I mean, I feel like there is a good illumination with the other signage between the HCA and the ambulance and the ER. You know, I don't think you're gonna miss it driving down.
I think what we had spoken about prior was maybe taking the bottom 2/3 of this sign and wrapping it so it's not illuminated,
Okay.
and leaving the top 1/3 illuminated,
Yeah.
is what I remember from our discussions prior.
I think that was very similar to. yeah, what we
Allowing,
had
allowing you to
recommended.
still utilize the color deviation as well as, you know, sizing and everything else, and still get your bang for the buck at the top of this sign where people can still look up and see right next to emergency ER. But we felt that lighting it from the ground up was just gonna be a whole lot.
Okay. Let me work with the signage vendor and talk to him about that.
From a construction standpoint too, there's a way that you could do that pretty.
Sure there is. I'm not that familiar with the Panaflex, but we'll figure it out.
There's definitely a rough situation.
How does everyone feel about the two HCA signage?
I think that's.
I don't,
fine.
I don't have a
I don't
I
have
don't have a problem with
that.
any of that. No.
So I think we're kind of consistently suggesting that we need another solution for the tower portion. That's kind of what I'm feeling. Okay.
Yeah. And just to make sure I'm following, the deviation or,
They would be allowed one of those two HCA healthcare logo signs.
yep.
And
And
so they're asking for the additional of that, and then because the ER exceeds that 36, exceeds the 24 inches, they're asking for that to be allowed to be 36 inches.
so and I'll use as an example, again, I'll make reference to Ascension. My specific argument with the size of the main sign on the tower portion of the Ascension building, the applicant at that time made the argument that this is a hospital and it's so far off the road, you need to see the big sign to justify it. And what I argued is, other than people that know what Ascension is, nobody has an idea that that's a hospital. As a matter of fact, I think most people may have thought that it was no longer a hospital because the Ascension sign doesn't look like anything to do with this. Again, in this case, you've got ER. Those letters typically mean emergency room. And so I think that's a valid reason for requesting it. But is the internally illuminated tower, is that being considered as a deviation request? Okay, that is specifically, okay. So, and then in terms of making, we gave feedback previously, we've got something, we're giving more feedback. Is it appropriate that we continue the deviation request till we get an application that complies with what we're describing? Or are we comfortable, and is it appropriate for us to make a motion that captures what we're approving and then?
So I think we can go either way with it.
Yeah,
I think
either way.
I think it depends on how comfortable we feel that a solution can be reached that meets our expectation without having to see it.
Yeah. And in this particular case, something's coming to us next month anyway, right?
Correct, yeah,
Okay.
the actual DO itself.
Yeah. And I would be, if we continue this, the exhibit that would describe the final version of the deviation can be put in the packet whenever the day the packet goes out, right? So that you've got plenty, in other words, you've got a few weeks to get around.
So not actually a few weeks. I think they only get
Next
about a week,
Thursday.
about a week and a half to get that public notification sent. If there's a different deviation, if that's what you're suggesting.
No. Well, in other words, if they're producing an exhibit that that documents between now and the next meeting. I mean, I
Oh,
didn't think
okay, okay.
I didn't think
I
you
follow.
walk into the meeting and have a
Yeah.
piece of paper and say, here's what it is.
No,
We've
I
continued
follow.
the item.
You're not talking about notification for an additional time.
No. I'm saying if we continue the deviation request for the big internally illuminated doodad, and that gives the architect and your client time to take a look at, here's the solution. I think they could walk into the next, I mean, it'd be nice to have it earlier than that, but you could walk into the next meeting with a nice exhibit
Okay.
And we can then look at it and go, yeah, that's exactly what we were thinking.
'Cause that would be when we're approving all of your architectural finishes for the
Yeah.
building
Okay.
anyway.
I believe their inserts have to be turned in by May 21st.
Yeah, but
If you continue it, all they have to do is update the sign. They don't have to send out any more letters or anything like
Yeah.
that. So it would go to the newspaper, well, for the project, it would go to the newspaper on the 14th, but I believe the inserts are due on the 21st, and then the meeting's the 4th.
Yeah.
She typically uploads it to the website on the 28th.
But I mean, people routinely walk in here with samples that aren't.
Yeah, and I
in the
told
bag.
them, I told that guy to come in because she'd already loaded it up before I got them to get it compliant. So I said, bring a handout.
Yeah.
I know you guys don't always like to have something at the last minute like that, but, you know, we try to keep that to a minimum.
How do you feel about those suggestions? Do you feel like that's a solution that you can come up with?
Absolutely. Yeah, the bottom half of the tower not being illuminated. But correct me if I'm wrong, whole thing can be red, just top to 1/3 or half can be illuminated.
I would recommend from a design standpoint that you guys keep the red to the top 1/3.
Okay.
And that you make the bottom 2/3. And I'm saying this, if you look at your elevation where you have your emergency sign and that band that's right there, that kind of looks like a good cutoff point, the top of that emergency sign.
Okay.
You have a nice little, you've already got some lines there kind of showing. So like right above that, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong,
Right
Lori,
above
but I
that,
think
because
from a
that's on a
design
canopy,
standpoint,
right?
it's on the canopy,
Yeah.
right? So I think from a design point, that would look
Take that line
fine right there,
for
and
the
then below
canopy.
it, match your building material.
Okay.
You're gonna have the red illumination from emergency on that.
Yeah, that's a nice
Right.
proportion too.
That would be really
Yep.
nice.
Yeah.
That would be really nice. And I think that it would probably look awkward, like maybe like a bulb was out. If
Yeah,
the-
if the whole thing was
if-
red,
if-
yeah.
If it was the same material and then that bottom portion
Mhm.
was the same material and not illuminated.
Okay.
I think that was a good solution. Do we want to,
So you want to do continue number 7, but approve 8 and 9?
that was my question.
Okay.
Do we want to, because 7 is the,
Specific to this
yeah,
tower.
so if we approve 8, we are approving the height of the ER
Letters.
being 36 instead of 24, which I don't have a problem with that situation. And there is nothing about the red or the illumination that is in that. So that's specific to item 7. So 8 and 9 would just be the master sign plan itself, which is the small 3-foot directional signages at the entrance for the emergency directionals. And then the monument sign and everything else for the development order, the building, and this deviation for the tower would come back next month.
So I have one question. So on item 8, it's a two-part. It's got letter height from 24 to 36, which I have no problem with, and a second sign. So I just want to clarify something about the second sign.
Okay.
So the
It's actually 3 signs total.
yes,
But there's 2 logo and then the
Yeah.
ER.
Right.
so the logo signs are the ones, I'm just going to turn this around. It's that. We're going to
Yes.
get a second one of those. Okay.
Yes.
So that has the word healthcare in it. So you got an argument here. What I'm not in favor of is having more HCA signage. And again, I'm being consistent. Again, full disclosure, I sit on the board of Ascension, the advisory board of Ascension Sacred Heart. But I was consistent. I said the exact same thing years ago when they brought their sign. The HCA logo itself doesn't really do anything in terms of helping people find stuff. It's the word healthcare that does. And of course, this has Santa Rosa Beach ER, a part of HCA, Florida, Fort Walton, Destin Hospital, but it's all itty bitty tiny that you probably won't be able to read from the street anyway. So I'm just going to point out, I think architecturally, the building's enough, it's got enough size to it. It faces enough directions. It's got, even though it's an internal drive lane, I think the second sign is facing that.
It feels like it's,
Yeah.
yeah, a little bit more roadway than drive aisle.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually was considering, one of the reasons I asked on the tire store, which faces the same drive aisle, I believe, that I asked whether they had one sign and whether they would be allowed to have a second one is that I would have considered saying, instead of a monument sign, give them a second sign facing that drive aisle. That's a conversation for another day. But so I guess I'm okay with the second HCA healthcare sign. But again, I just want to point out that it's got less of an argument that it helps the public find an emergency facility. So, y'all are sensitive to the number of signs.
I usually am sensitive, but I don't feel like I don't feel like it's a detriment in this case because of the type of, I don't know, it doesn't feel obtrusive to me. You know, if the HCA logo was twice as big or something, you know, or it was just the HCA logo, I think that, but it doesn't, the content and the size of it being so much smaller than the other doesn't bother me.
I think for the future planning aspect of it, it could help in the future if something else goes up next to it, or there's people that are pedestrian wayfarers or other things.
Yeah.
That could be good.
Yeah.
To have extra signage on that blank side of the building, to know what you're looking at.
Yeah, and it's not a bad thing. I mean, the typical tourist comes to town, their first visit is to Publix.
Idea of what's
The
around
fact that
it.
they're driving right by this and they go, oh, yeah, that's there. And seeing that
Yeah.
sign might help them remember it's there, so I'll buy that.
Yeah, and I think the directional signage is the type of size that we look for when we see these things, so that to me is also not an issue. Okay, so are we comfortable doing a motion on 8 and 9 and continuing 7? Is that, okay, would someone like to lead that?
Motion to continue item number 7, Santa Rosa FSER color deviation to the June 4th.
Have a motion?
Second?
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve item number 8, Santa Rosa FSER sign deviation as proposed.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye. Motion to approve item number 9, Santa Rosa FSER MSRP corridor master sign plan as proposed.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right,
All right.
we have.
I just
approval of
wanted to
this-
ask
yes,
the
sir.
board, just for clarity, it's next meeting, probably I will be the only person here.
I
So
don't
if
think,
there was any
yeah,
discussion.
I personally don't think we have anything else. I think honestly, we thought we'd already approved the development order, so I think we're okay. Yeah. So.
Say if there was any
Yeah,
discussions
I-
or questions, if we
yeah.
could get it now.
I knew we were
while-
bringing the signage back, but I honestly thought we had already approved the
Hold the
actual project
That makes it
itself.
easy for me. I
So,
appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any concern from our standpoint on the site plan itself, the
Okay.
circulation or the,
No.
yeah. So, I mean, I think that we're good on all the rest of it.
I don't even impersonate an architect well.
I hardly make a
think-
good
I think
architect
we'll let that-
myself.
Engineer, my friend.
Yeah. If it,
All right.
You're the man if you have any rocks that need to meet Munsell colors, though, right? Yeah.
That's true. All right. So it looks like that's up for us tonight. Tim, do you have anything else? Nope, we're good. All right. Let's do it. Motion.
Good, my computer
That
was
actually
running
took
out of
longer than I
batteries
thought it
as we speak.